On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank, we are joined by our good buddy, Dusty Dvoracek. We talk a ton of college football with Dusty. We talk about Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, the Big 12, and we discuss some of the marquee games of the weekend with him. Then we get right to our segments. We give you our winners and losers of the week and wet the beak with the big divisional matchup between the Browns and Steelers. To finish up, we discuss some exciting news for college basketball fans in the state of Oklahoma in Keepin It Local. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. Our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Thursday, October 15th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank. First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all, whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone. Everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts couldn't be easier. First Fidelity Bank provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank at First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. Now, we're recording this on Wednesday night. And what do we talk about? OU and OSU both aren't playing.
Baseball? Football guys talking baseball?
Hell no. Hell. We're going to talk about the Thunder coaching search. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, who could we have on that can just talk? And I was like, I have the perfect guy for that. Let's call Dusty.
Too.
Let's call Dusty, and he's on a bye week, turns out, from some contact tracing issues with ESPN. So, yeah, we've got our guy Dusty Dvoracek on. We talk OU, OSU, kind of everything that's happened up to this point in the season in the Big 12, and we look at some of the games that are coming up this weekend. Talk Bama, Georgia. So, great conversation with our man Dvoracek. But Teddy, before we get to Dusty, have you watched the show Yellowstone?
I think I've seen the first 2 episodes. We, during the quarantine way back in the spring, we're like, okay, let's get into a couple shows. And we watched like the first 2 episodes, and then for whatever reason just didn't continue it. But I liked it.
Okay. So
you're telling me it's worth it?
I didn't know. I literally didn't know it existed till like a month ago. Like, some people are like, have you watched Yellowstone? I was like, I don't know what that is. What's that? They're like, Kevin Costner. I was like, I love Kevin Costner. They're like, it's on the Paramount channel. I was like, what channel is that? Like, what?
Right.
And then someone was like, hey, it's on Peacock. I was like, Peacock? What are we talking about? And they're like, it's a new NBC streaming thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what that is. And turns out I have Peacock with the cable, with the Cox cable.
Nice.
I have. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check out this Yellowstone show. And holy shit, bro. It is not what I anticipated it being. I went in without reading anything. And
you thought Costner was going to be out there on a horse roping calves nonstop, huh?
I don't know what I thought was going to happen. But me and my wife, we are trapped in it right now. It's just like we'll be in the middle of the day, like, and if she has a break between a meeting, she'll be like, hey, you want to? And I'm like, and she's like, watch a little Yellowstone. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's go.
Does that mean what I think it means? You want to watch Yellowstone? Let's go.
Babe, you know it. But
are you caught up yet? Have you?
We just finished season 2, and if season 3 is better than season 2, then because the last couple episodes of season 2, it was one of those where I'm like, what? Like, it just like over the top reactions as I'm watching it. And it was fantastic.
I need to go back and get back into it then. I do. God, it's going to be so hard during football season though.
Yeah,
But
maybe not the best time. Maybe
yeah,
not.
that's an off-season deal.
You got any plans for the bye weekend? You gonna do anything? What, sit around the pool, drink a little bit?
Possibly a little bit of that. The weather's supposed to be nice. We could get a final pool day in, but Friday night we are going to Frontier City Fright Night. Let's go.
What? Fright
Taking the
Night's
little
back?
boy up there. Yep. We will be up there. We will be wearing masks, and I don't know what is in store. I haven't been to Fright Night at Frontier City since the 8th grade. So
Is the Silver
looking forward to
Bullet
it.
still there? You remember the Silver Bullet? Like the most herky-jerky roller coaster on planet. It's got to be still there. It's a classic.
Is that the one that just does the backflip?
Yeah, it's literally a silver bullet.
Yeah.
That's I don't know how to describe it other than that. But
Yeah.
hey, that'll be fun.
It'll be a good time. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna chill. You know what I'm gonna do though? Drink lots and Will and Widely hard seltzers.
There you go.
Guys, stop acting like you're too manly and just accept it. Hard seltzers are amazing, and there's only one hard seltzer that we drink on this podcast, and that is Will and Widely hard seltzer from Coop Ale Works. It's perfect for any occasion. We drink it by the pool, at the lake, and at the tailgate, maybe at Frontier City. Who knows? It's made in Oklahoma, and it's absolutely delicious. Will and Wiley is customized for the Oklahoma lifestyle. Go find it right now in a store near you, and go follow them on social media at Will and Wiley. If you're drinking something because of us, tag us in your social media posts to let them know. But yeah, it feels weird having a bye week right now, or is that just me?
No,
Like
I mean, you feel like we're just starting to get into the action, right? Just starting to get going into the season. I mean, I guess it's going to be nice, but I feel like the football team, number one, needs to be out there playing. But
so you have this emotion. If you're Oklahoma, right, you have this emotional win, this 4 overtime thriller. You've got you got a lot to work on, but you've got all the positivity. You beat your rival, all these things, and then you're off. Like that's one of those games. Like when you beat, you always wanted to play a game after that one, even though you can have your bumps and bruises from playing Texas, but you want to carry that momentum into another week of practice. But I guess carrying that momentum into the bye is a good thing too, right? It's certainly way better than losing. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and we heard one of the players say this, maybe it's Tyrese Robinson, that he felt like he wasn't in shape. And that was kind of the difference. And he feels like he's starting to get it back. I shouldn't attribute that to him because I'm not exactly – it was one of the offensive linemen. And, when you hear a player say that, I mean, that's kind of an indictment on the players not being ready, and part of that is the crazy year that we've had. Part of that is the way training camp went and guys were missing extended time. So there is a built-in excuse there. But, as long as you handle the bye week properly and it's not a vacation bye week where let's get the guys off their feet and take it easy in practice, because I still think they need to work that conditioning, because I think teams have outscored Oklahoma in the fourth quarter 41-10 this season.
Not good, Teddy. Not
Iowa
good.
State, Kansas State, Texas. We did not score, I don't think, in the fourth quarter against Missouri State. So, and that's for a different reason, but we have not been a good fourth quarter team. And I think that comes down to being calloused and being conditioned. So as long as this is a productive bye week and not a rest week, then, it can be good and it can be productive.
Yeah. Let's hope the Sooners make the most of it. All right. We got to get to Dusty's interview because in a shocking development, it went long. I mean, who saw that coming? And this interview is brought to you by Insurica. Do you own a business? If you do, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. Insurica's clients become best-in-class businesses by working with Insurica's team of advisors to manage risk. Purchasing insurance is only one way to protect your business. Best-in-class businesses win by avoiding a loss in the first place. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. I'm an Insurica client, and you should be too. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com. All right, here's Dusty Dvoracek. It is our pleasure to be joined by our good buddy, Dusty Dvoracek. You can catch him on ESPN on Saturdays. You can catch him weekdays on the Monsters of the Midday, on the Sports Animal, and of course, you can see his beautiful face on TV on News 9. You're a TV star now, man. I see you all the time.
No, stop it. I am not. I'm just
sweating, dry sometimes.
That's right. So you saw that, did you? That was
everyone saw it. It was a meme for an entire afternoon. I was like, I know that guy. I know those armpits.
Here's the deal, though. This is the way I look at it. Like, I think for other people, maybe they're like, oh, that's so embarrassing. I've been the sweaty guy since I've been like 10, okay? Like, my brother and I talking about this after the game. When I was in high school, I would always travel with 2 shirts because I was going to pit out the first one quick. And my big thing is, I know this is crazy, but I liked girls at a young age. So it's like, you don't really want to be the sweaty pitted out guy, especially at high school, because you scare girls. So it's like, I learned a long time ago, I've tried different deodorants. I've tried everything you could find under the sun. Damn it, I just sweat. And if you don't embrace it, you know it's going to drive you crazy. So, yes.
Have you
go ahead.
I've heard about sweaty guys doing this before. Have you ever considered Botox in your armpits? I've heard it works for some guys.
My wife is an injector, and she's asked me, she's like, what do you think? I hear that this could work. And I'm not there yet, because here's the thing. Like I said to you, I'm kind of over it now. Like,
what's the point
again,
now?
you live with it at this point. I'm almost 40. I mean, I'm almost a man. Okay. I mean, I'm getting close. So at some point you just kind of got to let it go. But yes, for those that were wondering, even in early October in Gainesville, Florida, it is the swamp for a reason. It's not just because it's where the gators roam. It's also because there's quite a bit of moisture in the air. And if you're a guy like myself with a coat on, yeah, you know, it could get a little bit sweaty. Here's the problem though, Gabe. I'm like, I see this great spin move. And I watch the guy, Britton Cox, he puts the ice pick right in the lower back. And that's like the main part of the spin. You know, like most people are like, they get so wowed by the spin. The whole part that makes it work is when you ice pick that lower back and you kind of thrust yourself through to the quarterback. And as you would know, Gabe, you kind of force that offensive lineman forward. And I thought, wow, what a great chance for a demonstration. Fat guys don't always get to teach defensive line or offensive line play. So I hit my producer. I'm like, yo, let me get this demonstration. He's like, let's go for it. I knew I was hot and sweaty. Had I known that I had completely sweat, not just through the armpits, but the back was covered, right? Had I known that, I probably wouldn't have hit him with an ice pick spin so you could see the full back. So knew I was sweaty, did not realize the magnitude of the sweat volume, but I thought, you know what, if Barstool Sports wants to bust my balls, whatever, go ahead. I love the brand, advertising.
Hey, a lot of times whenever you're getting hot and you can feel the sweat coming on, and you start thinking about the sweat coming on.
Oh, it makes it so much worse.
It all worse, man. You can feel every little pore, the water just seeping out.
Ted, we've known each other almost 20 years now. Like we're right. Actually, we have known each other 20 years in December when Ted took me on my recruiting visit. And I've been sweaty. I mean, when we're working together, like when we used to do a radio show together and we'd sit next to each other, Ted, tell him, like down to the rib cage. I mean, it's like it just is what it is. You know?
I think you should get like, after you get the sweat rings going, you just need to have someone hose you down. That way you can't see the sweat rings. You've got the whole shirt the same color.
And my last point on this, and then we could talk about real things instead of my moisture. That's why I love the fall and the winter so much, man, because you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, it takes care of some of these issues with some of the heat and some of the sweating. So we're almost through October. We're midway through, and football is getting in full swing. So not only is that great for all those reasons, but also for guys like myself, we dial it back on the perspiration a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting close to November, guys. Opening day, Pac-12, right? Just what you always think of when you get to November.
That's
no doubt.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, Dusty wanted you to join us because OU, OSU both on a bye. Now OU a bye, OSU's game postponed, and just kind of wanted to, take stock of where those programs are at, where the Big 12 is at right now, and then kind of look at some of the big games that are coming up this weekend. So let's start with Oklahoma. And a win against Texas is always a good thing, always. But it should have never gotten to 4 overtimes. Looking at that game and then looking at these first 4 for Oklahoma in general, just kind of what's your overall view of that football team right now?
To me, I'll just start at what I just saw, and we can work our way back. The biggest takeaway I have is it's a young team that's developing leadership, and I thought that they really learned how to finish a football game. And you have to kind of go through some trials and tribulations as a young football team to get to that point. I hope that they all recognized that the work that went in to get to Saturday is the reason that they were able to find a way to win, because they worked their butt off during the week, right? They had a physical week of practice. Their mentality changed. And I think that those are small nuances, but they're so key and so important. So I think that's my biggest takeaway of the Texas game. I saw growth. I saw some maturity, and I saw a team that played their butts off. I hadn't seen that. And they played with a level of physicality at the line of scrimmage that I knew they were capable of, but I hadn't seen consistently. That was the biggest thing, is that I thought I'll just say it. I thought that the offensive line play the first couple of games in Big 12 play, it lacked consistency, and especially to me, it lacked the physicality that I've just grown accustomed to watching. Even going back to were you in Bill's first class, Gabe?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was my senior year.
That's what I thought. So even going back to then, you guys didn't have as much talent, but man, I know what Bill's about. He's the best I've ever been around. I've said that a million times, and it's not just, to say it, it's the truth. And so when I didn't see that, when I watched the tape, when I watched the All-22 and I watched the tight copy, and I watched some of the softness, I'm like, that's not who they are. The identity of this team is smash mouth, right?
Didn't you see, I saw, and Teddy and I have talked about it before, but I saw a lot of position blocking.
100%.
Like on the right guys, getting in the way, but not the
Finishing.
movement. Yeah, not
finishing.
You saw more of that against
Texas.
Texas.
I think about those guys like Barry and Breckenhager in the Big 12 championship, like over and over and over.
Clip.
That's what we're used to with these offensive lines, is brutal, like 15-yard penalty type stuff.
So it's a high bar that you guys have set, Gabe. It's a high bar that Coach Beatonbow set. And for whatever reason, I don't know, lack of practice, that room's been hit hard. Whatever it's been, lack of being able to get after it in practice. I don't know. I haven't been there. But there was something, and they were able to remedy that. So that's the first thing for me. That's what I saw the first couple of games. We all know that the tackling wasn't very good. What's crazy is there was a lot of good stuff on the Oklahoma defensive tape. I think Brian Asamoah has been playing really well this year. But I didn't see consistency. I saw a defense that was missing tackles. I saw a defense that was a little bit out of position. And, you got to give Iowa State, you got to give Kansas State credit. They took advantage of that. And then what I also saw was a young quarterback who was not his fault that they lost the first 2 games, but he made mistakes in crucial spots. And I go back to this Texas game, and by the way, I haven't even mentioned special teams, which is, we could just say that alone cost them those first 2 games. And then how much better it was, and maybe that won them the game against Texas. It's funny, it's the small little things that cost you those first 2 is how you won against Texas. That's why it felt to me, we know this team is talented. They've got enough talent to run the rest of the Big 12. And it's why they're still the favorite to win the Big 12 championship. I mean, if you go look at Bovada, they're plus 145, Iowa State second at plus 325, and Oklahoma State's third at plus 350, right? There's a reason.
I saw before they played the Texas game, they're 0-2 in the Big 12. Obviously 1-2. And I was watching on ESPN, they had the odds to win the national championship scrolling across the bottom line. And even though they had 2 losses and Oklahoma State was undefeated, their odds were the exact same.
Right.
I was like, that's hilarious.
But it's kind of just because, I mean, you know that this team has recruited very well. They've got good players. They're extremely well coached. And for me, they needed to figure out how to dig down, how to maybe work a little bit harder than what they've done leading up to prior to Texas. And I just hope that that was a building block. That's what it has to be, right? Because this is still going to be a young team at spots. As long as they continue to grow, they continue to do the small things throughout the week of practice and then again on Saturday, I think it'll be huge. And my last thing just on for Oklahoma and the biggest takeaway, like the throw to Stogner, like there was a couple throws in particular. I'm sure you broke them down. The 3rd and 10 to Theo Wees on the out route, the timing. I mean, the placement of that football, that's big league stuff, right? And then there was another 3rd and 8 after that, a little stick route, I think. He throws it in the trash. It was tight coverage. He hits Theo again. The throw to Stogner, and then obviously the throw to Drake Stoops. All those second-half throws, they obviously showed you what Spencer Rattler is capable of, but the way he handled being benched in that moment, I thought it was the right move at the time watching it. I don't know what you guys said on the broadcast, but I did think that Lincoln needed to settle him down a little bit. And you can go one of 2 ways with that. You're a 5-star quarterback. We've probably all seen with the QB1. How's he going to respond? Everybody doesn't respond to being coached and being sat down well. I thought he showed maturity. I thought he showed leadership. And he came out and he was smart with the football. He was much more judicial with where he was going to go with it. And then when push came to shove late and they needed him to let it rip, he let it rip. That's what I just – it was so good to see that from him as compared to the first 2 games where in crunch time he made a couple of mistakes. He tried to do a little too much. That's not what he did against Texas. He was smart with the football. He made the plays at the very end when he absolutely had to. But I didn't think the Stogner pass, maybe he forced it. But for the most part, I thought he just ran the offense, took what the defense gave him. And to me, not only is that huge for his growth, but for those players to see him come back from that, lead the way, and also for Lincoln to be able to sit down his quarterback, his guy, to me, that sends a message to the whole team. Do it the right way, or I'm going to find somebody that will. You're going to come sit over here by me. So just the way that whole dynamic played out, it could have been a bad situation, but to me, it might have been a defining moment in the season and the growth of this young football team and that quarterback.
And I agree with pretty much everything you said, and that's the good stuff looking at the football game. But there is some bad stuff.
There was.
You got to enjoy the win. Obviously, anytime you win OU Texas, it's a big deal. But this football team has a turnover problem. And, you know, Rattler I thought was better when he came in, but he still fumbled the ball towards the end of regulation. You know, also you have to kind of look at it. A lot of positives in the running game, but how good is Texas? So I think
their run defense stinks.
It's horrible, man. It's horrible.
It wasn't against UTEP.
Right.
Sorry.
But I guess my question is, we've enjoyed the win. We see some things to build on, but is this honestly something where we feel like they've turned a corner, or was that just a terrible Texas team?
No, I don't think it's a terrible Texas team. I think that there's a lot of these Big 12 teams this year are close.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way the defensive line played, Perrion Winfrey, Josh Ellison.
Yeah.
Hey, now. Isaiah Thomas, Nick Benito. I like the way they spied him. I like David Agwebu running around at the second level back. That's a big athletic dude. So, like, those things, I think that's real. I don't think the right side of Texas offensive line is great. And I thought Oklahoma took advantage of that some. But I'm seeing, and I've seen it from every game on the defensive line. They were better against Iowa State. They were Kansas State. And I thought they were even much better against Texas. So I think that is something you can really grow and build off of. Woody Washington, he needs to play a lot. He's an upgrade. And the fact that he moved from safety to corner in a week and was able to go out there, I mean, even whenever he was given cushion, the way he was coming up and tackling in open space, not to mention whenever it was tight, the coverage he was able to get, I was really impressed with him. So I do think those aspects are real. The offensive line, I believe, because I watched them last year do it, right? And I'll also mention at some point, I believe it's after TCU, you're getting Ramondre Stevenson back. he's going to help the running game too.
And
he's going to give him another body.
They're getting Chris Murray.
They're getting Murray, the UCLA transfer. He's going to help. I think he's going to play some guard for him. He's going to help on the interior for the offensive line. So I do think that running game, I expect them to build upon that. Won't be easy against TCU. That's a really good defense with especially good linebacker and safety play. But I do think, Ted, that those are areas. It was not perfect. And anyone that tries to say it was is full of it. But you do have to give a little respect, I think quite a bit of respect to Sam Ehlinger and the plays he was able to make down the stretch. Show. He really was. And Oklahoma got a little tired. They got out of the rush lanes. Sam Ehlinger was able to take advantage of that. And sometimes you do have to tip your cap. I mean, he's been a really good player for them for quite some time. So, and I do think that this team is capable of playing better special teams than what they played the first two games, which we saw that as well. So, look, I don't think – to me, that's why it's a building block, Ted. And I think you would agree. There's still flaws. This is far from a perfect team. But I do think some of the things we saw in the Texas game, some of the things you even saw in the Kansas State, Iowa State games, I think that as long as they can continue each week to grow, to build, be more consistent, I've seen enough good that I do think this team can be a team that just gets better and better and better throughout the season.
Yeah, I think, we'd heard Grinch talk about it this week, right? He said if they start doing some of the good things they're doing for longer periods of time, people might just start actually calling them good, which I thought was a great quote. And I'm encouraged about the defense. I like seeing some more of that youth in the back end. I thought Woody Washington, like you said, was spectacular. Saw some good things from the Eaton kid. But I just don't know what's going on with the Perkins thing. That's where I'm confused, because he's still the best player on the football team. And I know Lincoln called it a saga, and it's like, is he coming back? Is he not? Like, what is going on?
I got no comment for you on that. The way it was told to me last week is it's a long story. So I don't know, Gabe. I don't know. I have a pretty good idea of what the situation is, but I'm not really open to share. I don't care to share on this podcast, and I don't know exactly when or if he's going to be back, and I don't know if the coaches know that right now. So I think a lot of us can put a couple of things together, and I would say clearly throughout this process, whenever he was coming back, because what's wild is the NCAA approved his appeal. He has just been waiting on the ability to be cleared. Now, what all goes into being cleared, you can think about that however you would like, but he has not been cleared yet. So I would say it's safe to say that Mr. Perkins hasn't probably done the things he needs to do to help ensure that he gets back on the field. So clearly, if or when he gets back, he is going to help them immensely, which, again, I'm not making excuses for this team. They don't need to make excuses. But I think as much as I praise the defensive line, imagine if Jalen Redmond and Ronnie Perkins were on this defensive line. You know, I mean, that helps everybody, right? So obviously Jalen Redmond opted out, and we'll wait and see exactly what the situation unfolds for Ronnie Perkins. But, I don't know, man. It's unfortunate. I know that it sure felt like probably 10 days ago that he might be playing in Ames. And now
it would be nice for them to have their best player.
I think I would imagine Calvin Thibodeau. I would imagine Brian Odom, Alex Grinch, Roy Manning. I'd imagine all those guys would love to have him out there. But
I think at this point they're probably not expecting him back, and if they get him, it would be a bonus, I think is a way to put it. I mean, it's no secret. The rumors are all out there all over the place about another drug test. And, I would just say that I wouldn't expect him back. Definitely not before TCU.
Plan for the worst. Plan for the worst. Hope for the best.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do at this point. But, and that's why guys have to step up, though, right? I mean, that's why you talk about depth. I mean, to me, if I'm in that defensive line room, I've got the exact opposite mentality of us three. I'm like, shoot, I got a chance. I get an opportunity to go out there and make a name for myself. I mean, if I'm Stripling, I mean, if I'm any of those guys that, you know, are playing that position, I mean, I'm licking my chops, man. Isaiah Thomas, to me, has been making the most out of this opportunity.
No
and
doubt.
Good for him. I mean, look at the way he's played the last 2 games. He's been, you could argue, as good a player on the defensive side as they had. I think he might have been against Texas. I don't care what the stat sheet said. That guy was so disruptive.
Consistent. Yep.
He changed what they wanted to do quite often. Even like one of the Benito sacks. That was because Isaiah Thomas came clean and forced Sam Ellinger to step up. Benito was kind of spying and got an easy sack. It goes down as a Benito sack. He did his job, but the whole play was set up by Isaiah Thomas. So, I mean, look, they'd be better off if they could have him, but at the same time, this is a great opportunity for other guys, and they just need to make the most of it, step up until potentially he does come back.
Yeah, I just looking, you know, one more OU thing, just looking toward the rest of the season, right? We talked about Rattler and the whole situation there against Texas. Do you guys think that that's going to be a moment, right, where kind of that growing moment for him, and now we see all that talent kind of combined with a little more poise, maybe even a little more confidence after he was able to kind of get through that rough patch? Or are we still going to see this kid make the mistakes he's been making? You know, it happens as his first year as a starter in college football. I understand that, but it did seem like, especially in those overtimes, you saw some flashes where you're like, damn, if this kid, if he can take care of the football, this is going to be a really, really good offense, especially if the offensive line continues to come along.
I think you're still going to see him. I mean, as a freshman, I mean, because whenever you think about the interceptions, like you look at the Texas game, that was an experience issue. Like, he didn't know the guy was going to pop out of there, and he threw it right to him. That's not an arm talent issue. It's really not even a decision-making issue. It's the fact that he just didn't expect him to be there. I think that's an experience still. The loose with a football in the pocket, I mean, that's not a switch that you just flip overnight. That's working through spring, working through training camp. So I think it's going to get better as the season goes on, but I don't think that was a moment where all of a sudden you can just turn the flood of turnovers off. They're still going to happen. Hopefully, as you play more games, they trickle off. But man, I'd still expect them.
I think there's going to be some. This is why, I mean, I think I talked to you guys about this. It's why I thought that this was a year that other teams would have a chance to win the Big 12. It's because I thought, especially early in the season, we would see this with Spencer Rattler. They're completely different players, completely. But this is the growing pain Spencer Sanders went through last year. And if you look, he really had a turnover issues. And it was the TCU game that they really worked with him and talked with him about ball security and, really doing the best job you can to take care of the football. And he only played a game and a half after that, but he was much better. I agree with Teddy. There's going to be some that, like, he never saw that guy drop. He didn't see zero. That's just, eyes and understanding situation, what to anticipate. A lot of that stuff is learned throughout the course of the season. I do think, though, the more game action he plays, the more things that Lincoln's able to get up there and look at on tape, correct with them, the more he experiences and sees those. I would think over time you're going to continue to see maturation. I think the biggest thing is that it's certain moments in the game too, right? Like, to me, that's what, when you go back to Kansas State, really Iowa State, like, you have to know when you're going to take that shot down the field, exactly what's at stake, risk reward. And I think that Ted's right in that some stuff he's not going to be able to clean up, but I do hope situationally understanding, especially late in games, how important possessing the football, valuing that possession is. I do think that's an area he can improve on. We saw it in Texas, and look, and I know that TCU, they haven't looked great this year, but that's a capable team that can beat Oklahoma, and that's a defense under Gary Patterson that you best believe is going to do everything they can to disguise, confuse, and create, a distorted picture for that young quarterback. But time will tell, to answer your question, Gabe. I mean, I do think that we'll see. What did he have in the first 3 Big 12 games? He had a grand total of 7 turnovers in 3 games. Is that right? It was 3 against K-State, 1 against Iowa State, and then 3 against K-State. Is that right? I don't have it pulled up in front of me. Somewhere there.
Yes.
That sounds
So
right.
He's averaging over.
He's got 5 interceptions. He had the fumble against Texas. And
was there not a fumble against Iowa State or against Kansas State?
I know McGowan fumbled. We had the interception late.
Then no, it was he had 3 picks against Kansas State, didn't he? Look at us. I don't even have it pulled up.
We sound like idiots.
I hope you can.
I know he had the
you
one.
Have an edit button.
No. It's all staying in. He had the one to end the game.
He had the one at the beginning of the game, the tip pass.
And he had the one. Oh yeah, and he had the underthrow on the go ball. Yeah, 3.
So he had 3 against K-State. He had 1 against Iowa State, and then he just had he had 2 turnovers in the first half against Texas. So he's had a grand total of 6. I would say I think he averages less than 2 turnovers a game to close out Big 12 play. If that's where he's been to this point, I'll say I'm taking the under. I think it'll be better than what we've seen on average than it's been the first 3.
All right, Dusty. Now, Oklahoma State not playing this week. That game gets postponed because Baylor's having COVID issues. Now, you look at it, they're up to number 7 in the AP poll. They're going to get Iowa State in their next game. They're on the 24th. I assume Spencer Sanders should be coming back off the ankle. Chuba Hubbard's starting to look a little bit more like himself. Been really impressed with what I've seen from LD Brown, that offensive line. Playing better probably than we thought they would, especially when those 2 starters went down for him. But the defense is what everyone seems to really be excited about, and they have impressed me. Especially I've been more impressed with the interior of their defensive line. I thought that was going to be the weakness of that unit, but guys like Cam Murray, they've been good. They've been good. They're getting pressure off the edge from Trace Ford. They're solid at linebacker. They got experience in the secondary. They tackle well. Is Oklahoma State, I guess the best way to ask it, is Oklahoma State the team to beat in the Big 12 in your mind?
I mean, I think they're one of them. Again, I think that Iowa State, I think with Skylar Thompson going down, Kansas State to me isn't in that conversation. No disrespect to them. I respect the heck out of Chris Kleiman. I just don't know if they can navigate without him. And I would think Oklahoma is still in that conversation as well. I don't know if I would bury Texas yet, but I don't know. To me,
something weird. They also got some weird stuff. The Eyes of Texas stuff now, like politics getting into it.
I don't know.
I don't like the energy around that team right now.
So yeah, I mean, I do. I think that Oklahoma State's one of the teams to beat. I mean, I liked them a lot coming into the year. As much as it might surprise some people, I picked them to win the Big 12 before the year started, primarily because of the experience they had coming back on defense. And I thought this year, more than ever, with no spring ball, a weird fall camp, experienced guys that have played in the same scheme this is the 3rd year under Jim Knowles. And those guys have played a lot of football. They understand what he wants. I thought that would be very valuable. I also thought when you go back to last year, the last 6 games, Oklahoma State defensively kind of got better. And I do think Trace Ford was a guy coming to the year when I did their game. I thought as a true freshman, he showed some twitch off the edge. And then you got Calvin Bundage back. That was kind of like an added bonus. You lost him last year. So you've got 2 legit edge rushers that can really stress offensive tackles. And I think what you said is exactly right. They tackle very well. Obviously, Malcolm Rodriguez isn't going to win an athletic contest, but the guy knows where to be and he tackles, right? It's like wrestler mentality. Eamon Ogbongbemiga, to me, he is a little bit more athletic. He is really good in his blitz game. I do like that front 7, and I love the back end. I think the safeties are the strength of the defense. So they just had experience, and are they going to keep playing at this level? I think right now, they lead the country in 3rd down defense, at least going into last weekend. They were 7 overall in total D and maybe 8 in scoring D, somewhere in there. They were top 10 in all the major categories. I don't know if they can live up to that billing, but I do think this is legitimate one of the better defenses in the Big 12. Just how good will they be once they face the better offenses? I can't wait to find out. The real question to me is what Spencer Sanders going to look like, man? Because he got one series so far. One series. And it was a 17-play drive. They go down. They have to settle for a field goal, but they drive it, I believe, inside the 10. He gets hurt on that series when he gets a high ankle sprain. And, you know, I saw a couple of nice throws from him, but it's so little. To me, if he is healthy when he comes back, he gives a dimension that's going to help the running game, because I just think that really freezes the backside defense on a lot of stuff they run front side. So I think that's not only that's going to help the running attack, and he gives a different dimension as a runner. He's still got a lot to prove as a thrower, right? I mean, he has to go out there and show he can make throws down the field, especially when the game is on the line. Personally, I think that he will be better taking care of the football, but we don't know. So really, the only way to know if Oklahoma State is a legitimate contender, it's what we see from Spencer Sanders once he gets out there. And really, his first game that he's going to play is against that Iowa State defense. Not an opportune situation, but at least I would think that even with the Baylor game having been pushed, it's going to give him time to get fully healthy so he can really do what he's best and capable of and stress that defense both with his arm and with his leg. Because what you said is right. The running game's starting to get going. The offensive line's improved. Tylan Wallace's knee looks fine to me. He's starting to do what Tylan Wallace does. If Spencer Sanders, if he is an improved quarterback, yeah, I think Oklahoma State's going to be a legitimate threat to win the Big 12 this year.
Here's what I think. I think Iowa State's about to go beat them whenever they play. I think the fact that Sanders hasn't played and they've been idle for as long as they have is not a good thing. I think it's a bad thing. And here's what I think is interesting. I wouldn't trade Brock Purdy for Spencer Sanders, at least not this year, not right now, not where this season sits. I wouldn't trade Breece Hall for Chuba Hubbard.
Agreed.
I don't know that I would trade
Breece
Charlie
Hall.
Kolar for Tyler Wallace. That would be the one that I might. I wouldn't trade Jaquan Bailey for Ford. I wouldn't trade Vance or Rose for Malcolm Rodriguez, and I wouldn't trade Eisworth for Harvey Pill. That's what I think is amazing about Iowa State right now. The personnel that they've got on that field is as good as anyone in the Big 12. Now, they got no depth after that. They got no depth after that. But those guys are about as good as you're going to see in the conference, man.
I agree on Brock Purdy. I disagree. I think you're selling Chuba Hubbard short. I like Breece Hall a lot. I did 2 of his games last year, and I was all over him before the year started. I watched him as a true freshman. The kid is good. Because to me, you got to factor in L.D. Brown. They got 2 home run hitters. I think Oklahoma State's offensive line's better than Iowa State's. I don't think Iowa State's offensive line's that good. I think they're just okay. I think really these running backs have broken a lot of tackles. Nwangwu, he had a big run against TCU as well.
They blew our D-line off the ball. I mean, I know that was a week ago, but they were mushing us.
They may get better and better. I could tell you maybe like a lot of things, they were not very good early in the season. So you could feel that way. I agree with Brock Purdy. Aside from that, I'm not going to say that I think a tight end is better than Charlie Kolar. And I love the 3 tight end sets Iowa State. I'm an Iowa State fan. I mean, I think they're great. I do think you're selling Oklahoma State a little short. But I wouldn't expect anything else from you, Ted. So to hear you come on here and praise Oklahoma State, I would probably have to take my headset off and figure out what in the hell is going on and wrong with you, because you would have to be ill. Because I do think this, though. You would agree. You do not often see them. You look more at their weaknesses as opposed to looking at their strengths, right? Is that fair? Because, I mean, I don't know. Oklahoma State,
I have them as the second best right now.
With a backup quarterback to be sitting where they're at, I mean, think about it. A true freshman I know it's Kansas. West Virginia ain't no punk. Okay, Tulsa, I think Tulsa may beat Cincinnati this week. I don't want to overplay what they are. I'm just saying.
Ooh, we'll talk about that one.
That could have been catastrophic, losing your quarterback the opening series of the season. And for them to navigate, find their way here, I think you got to give them a lot of credit. What's their ceiling?
I got them as the second best. Right now I have Iowa State as the team that I have that's right there at the top, and that's who I think that Oklahoma eventually plays in the Big 12 championship. But the problem with Iowa State is they've had opportunities to get over the hump in the past, and they cannot win a big game. I know they beat Oklahoma in our place and then beat them this year up there in Ames, but they've had opportunities where it's like, okay, here's Iowa State. They got a chance, and they throw a dud out there. So there is that factor too. But I think those are the two teams right now that Oklahoma's chasing. But I would just edge Iowa State a little bit higher because they've got history with that defense. Oklahoma State does not.
Vegas agrees with you, and I think that's completely fair. I think that you have to give Iowa State the credit. Their resume's better in Big 12 play. It's interesting, though, and I know it doesn't count in Big 12 play, but, I mean, they did lose to Louisiana, who I'm watching on TV right now, which it is the 21-ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns. But it's crazy to think that we're fighting this hard about who's the best team in the Big 12.
Right.
And they lost their opener at home by double digits to the Louisiana Raging. No disrespect to Billy Napier, but that does kind of sum up 2020 and where we
Oklahoma State's best win is over Tulsa.
There you go. Which again might be
they
a
should have lost.
Win. They should have lost. I totally agree.
I think we're all out, even though they're still undefeated in conference play, even though their defense is playing really well. But with Skylar Thompson going down, like you mentioned, Dusty, I think we're all out on Kansas State. Right? I think Will Howard can. I think
what about
Joshua
Youngblood? What about Joshua Youngblood?
Yeah, transferring. Just saying, he hadn't played any snaps on offense, and I talked to him on Sirius earlier this year before the season. We interviewed him, and he was telling us how excited he was about being able to get more touches on offense and not just being a special teams guy. And they haven't put him out there, so I think he just said, forget this, I'm out. Which I don't know, but I thought that was weird. Definitely weird, but Will Howard, it's just tough. He's going to have some serious freshman moments. And when you look at their schedule, the defenses that Kansas State still has left, they still got to play West Virginia in that D-line. They still got to play Oklahoma State. They still got to play Iowa State. They still got to play Dave Aranda and whatever he's going to throw at him with Baylor. So I just don't see it for K-State. I don't.
Their defense is fun to watch.
No doubt.
Wyatt Hubert, oh, man, I could watch that dude play all day. And is it McPherson 31?
The best player in the Big 12 now?
Ooh, man, that guy, he's the best tackler I've seen in the Big 12 yet. Does he miss tackles?
You should have heard me and Teddy on the broadcast talking about him.
God.
It was like he was playing for OU the way we were talking about him. We were like, this guy's amazing.
He doesn't miss a tackle in the hole, and that hit he put on Seth McGowan. I couldn't even be mad at the freshman. I mean, that's about as picturesque as it gets. I was thinking to myself after that game, after I watched the tape, I was like, man, could you imagine if this guy played at Oklahoma and was a safety for them?
I mean, it's been a while now. Baylor's two safeties last year were fantastic.
Yeah. But
we haven't seen safeties he won the game for Kansas State.
He was incredible.
He won the game for him. So we haven't seen players dominate a game defensively like that in a long time. So it was unfortunately fun to watch against Oklahoma, but the way he plays football it's great. It really is.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, last thing on the Big 12, unless you got something else, Gabe, but I just want to know because it's next week, and I won't get a chance to be on with you guys unless you call me back. What's the line going to be in Stillwater then, Ted? You got Iowa State favored by 10, or is it 14?
Well, I think Oklahoma State would cover the 14 after Iowa State pulls their starters in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a tight game, and probably every Big 12 game this year, it's going to come down to the last possession.
You're right, and that is you'd have to give an edge to Iowa State. Brock Purdy is what's been up with him, by the way? He's finally rounded his shape. He played better against Tech.
Yeah, but it was Tech.
I know.
He threw 4 or 5 balls.
Was throw it up to Charlie Kolar. Didn't matter if there was 2 or 3 guys on him. He's just throwing it up to Kolar.
The best pass of the game might have been from Sainer, the tight end.
Was a good ball.
Hit Chase Allen.
But yeah, he hasn't looked the part of, the first round hype he was getting coming into the year.
He's capable of it though, but he hasn't played to that level yet. Which to Ted's point, maybe the best way to put it is at their ceiling, maybe they are the best. But again, I don't even know what the ceiling of Oklahoma State is. That's why I can't wait to see Spencer Sanders. And I also say this on Oklahoma State. This week is so important because it's going to be 21 days in between games from when they last played. Okay, when they last took the field against Kansas, it'll be 21 days before they play Iowa State. Neither of us in a season have ever waited anywhere near that long in between games.
It's a bowl game, but you didn't know who you were preparing for, because they were working on Baylor for most of the time, I'm sure. So
up until probably yesterday. So I just think that this week in particular for Oklahoma State, it's got to be physical. It's got to be hitting. They were tackling well. They were playing well at the line of scrimmage. You can't lose that. And the only way to keep that up instead of getting rust and going back is to do it in practice. I would have to imagine Gundy's going to have a scrimmage Friday or Saturday to try to replicate a game week, because the last thing you can have happen against an Iowa State team as good as they are is be rusty and taking step backs, especially at the line of scrimmage against them.
And that's one of the problems for Iowa State is they really don't know what to expect out of this offense yet, because it's not going to be the same with Sanders as it has been with Shane Illingworth. I mean, it's just they're two different players. So you kind of have to be guessing a little bit as to what you're going to get. They saw that first drive, but the rest, I mean, there's going to be some differences.
All right, boys, let's take a look at some of the marquee games this weekend in college football. Clearly, Dusty, with your role with ESPN, you've always got your eyes on the biggest games of the week, and we're not getting LSU, Florida, because got postponed. The Gators got the Rona. I guess Dan Mullen, they won't get the swamp packed like he wanted, and he walked that back.
Live, my producer on my show, I'm not going to steal his line, but shout out to Matt Ravis, my great producer on the Sports Animal. So yesterday on the show, I played the clip of Mullen kind of whining after the game in College Station when they lost, when he was like distraught. And he was basically trying to throw A&M on the bus for having too many fans, right? And then immediately, like right after the game, we want 90,000 in the swamp. Our governor said we can. Let's get them there. And it was like, whoa, that's aggressive. So then you think, oh, he'll probably walk it back on Monday. Hell no, he didn't walk it back. Not only did he not walk it back, he started patting himself on the back, man. He's talking about how great a job they've done with their protocols. I mean, he's championing them. That's cool and all. And then he's like, 90,000. Governor says it. Let's go. Let's get this thing going. And it's kind of like, okay. And so then as I'm playing this audio, it pops up, Florida, 5 positive tests. That was at like 1:30. And my producer says, man, life comes at you fast. So not only was it that 5, by 2 hours later, it was 19. And it was coaches, players, and I'm not making fun of them at all. Not at all. Because this thing is, it's tough, man. It's an MFer, straight up. And with the contact trace, with the positive test, and all the different things that are going on, and once you start playing, when you let your guard down just a little bit and it can creep in, I just think it's a constant reminder for everybody to don't be so quick to point your finger and start to scold a Baylor or start to say, we've got this thing whipped, because I swear it feels like the minute you do, it's going to bite you in the ass. So as it did Dan Mullen in Florida, I just thought that timeline, that Monday he's screaming, we're the model citizens for how you keep COVID out, to saying, let's get 90,000. 48 hours later, they aren't even having a damn game. So
it's almost like someone that was handling the test said, oh, you think you got this thing figured out? Let's put a little drop of COVID in some of these
conspiracy theory Ted is back.
A drop of COVID. That's it.
Now,
I love it.
A game that clearly most important game of the weekend, and now we know that Saban's got the Rona.
Speaking of coronavirus.
We'll see how this goes, but number 3 Georgia going to Tuscaloosa to take on number 2 Bama, and Georgia's defense looks unbelievably are unbelievable, undoubtedly the best in the country at this point with what they've done so far. But Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, the Mechie kid, they're all coming, and they're going to put up points. And I just don't know, is Stetson Bennett going to be able to make enough plays at quarterback? And Karis Jackson and George Pickens, they're dudes now out wide for Georgia. But there's going to be a lot of passing in this game. But a big part of me is like, is this just going to be a classic Bama-Georgia game where it comes down to who can run the damn ball? And if that's the case, I like Bama. I also like Bama because they're at home and they beat Georgia 5 times in a row. But the Saban having Rona factor, we'll see what happens with that. But I can't wait for this football game, guys. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I've seen a decent amount of Georgia. I haven't watched all their games, but I love watching that defense play, man. They've got some guys on the edge. They've got backers. They've got safeties. They come at you in waves. And Stetson, we love him because he's been efficient for him. What's he got, like 5 touchdowns, no interceptions? He's been pretty clean for them for the most part. He hasn't had to do a whole lot, which has been the good thing, but he may find himself in a shootout against Alabama and may have to get risky with the football a little bit. That's a dangerous spot. So Alabama, I know they kind of got rocked by Ole Miss there defensively, a little bit of shell shock going on, and some people are going to learn some things about how to attack them. But I still like Alabama, man. I do. I think that there's just the offense is the difference for me. Defensively, not looking good coming off that Ole Miss game, but they're going to regroup because Georgia's not going to be anything like what we saw from Ole Miss. That's that old Baylor offense, ripping it up and down the field. It's going to be a little bit slower pace, conservative with Stetson there, and I think they'll play a lot better.
I can't wait for this game, dude. Like, I mean, this is good on good, dude. This is what we wait for. Like, I hate that Nick Saban's not going to be there because I don't know. I'm not sure what's his role on a game day. He's obviously going to be able to have his fingerprints on game plan, in-game adjustments. He's notorious for in-game situational football. Just all the aspects that come with Nick Saban. You just feel it's kind of like Belichick, right? You just feel he's going to make the right decisions at the right moments. If he's not there, I don't know. So it's hard for me to get a grasp or a feel for what that impact's going to be. So I'm going to act as if it's not one for this conversation.
They went from a 6.5-point favorite to down to 4 like instantly. So
also think about this: is he the only one?
That's my question. Like, if your head coach has it,
are there other coaches? Are there other players? Is this going to be something that we're going to find out on Saturday that 15 Alabama players are out? And we're not going to probably know that. They're going to keep that as under wraps as anybody. So I don't know the level that this goes, but I'm just going to pretend as if obviously Saban's gone, but everybody else is there, right? I mean, this is the best offense in college football against the best defense in college football. Get your popcorn ready. And I even say that understanding what they have in Clemson. And I respect the heck out of Travis Etienne, out of Trevor Lawrence, but I don't care. This Alabama offense, I mean, they got 3 first-round picks at receiver, probably got a first-round pick at running back. If not, he's an early 2. Mac Jones, to me, all I see is good stuff from him. I mean, even last year, when you go back and watch him, he had the 2 pick sixes against Auburn. But aside from that, the dude's been nails. And, I mean, he throws with accuracy, anticipation. I mean, and he's just got better players outside. So it's like he trusts them. Oh, yeah, their offensive line's really good too. So it's like, I mean, good luck trying to stop this offense. But on the flip side, what I love about Georgia is their length. They are so long on the edge. They are so long at corner. And they are physical as heck. I want to say against Tennessee, like that score wasn't even indicative of it. The rushing yards, I think, was 232 to -1 at one point. Just think about that, okay?
Dude, that Georgia defense, like that Tennessee O-line has pro players on it. Like maybe a couple first-round picks.
Yes.
Like possibly the first guard off the board, and they just beat their ass.
Destroyed. destroyed.
It was shocking.
I was watching that, and I was like, oh, wow. They really are that good. That's going to be just – having said all that, as much as I'm a defensive guy and you are too, Ted, like a good game, a really good game would be holding them to 28. So the question to me, like, I expect Georgia's going to play pretty good defense. But pretty good defense, you give up 30, and you're like, we played pretty damn good, right? The question is, as much as we're going to be enamored with that, the difference in this game is the other side. Ted kind of touched on it. And I would hate to be Stetson Bennett this week because this will be the toughest week of practice that Alabama's had defensively, maybe ever, okay? Nick Saban, which I hated what he said after the game, that was a load of crap, in my opinion, to try to blame sign stealing. You got your ass whooped. Own up to it. I mean, he's too good of a coach for that. He's too well respected to go that route. I mean, what's funny is, and by the way, big shout out to my boy Jeff Levy getting things done at Ole Miss, man.
Right.
This dude's just rolling right now. Former Oklahoma Sooner and just a damn good dude. I talked to him 2 weeks ago before they played Kentucky, and he told me, he said, we're going to put 40 on them. And I'll be darned, they put 41 and won the game by a point. And what's interesting is he's calling all the plays. Lane's giving him the full ability to do that. He is the one that came up with this 2-quarterback in the game system. They're being creative, imaginative. And he told me that day. And I think Lane even kind of said it. They're not worried about what you're in. That offense, they don't worry about what your look is. Because they just want to snap the ball before they can even get a look at what you're in. They don't care. Because they feel that within that offense, they've got a counter to whatever you want to do. That there's things built in, that they have an option and outlet. And while the play progresses, they get their quarterback to read it out. They feel good about whatever you're in. So the whole aspect of sign stealing was crazy. I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but all I'm trying to say is
on a tangent. No,
that's not what Georgia's going to do. Okay, that's not who Georgia is. They may try to throw in some up tempo every now and again after a first down, but that's not what they're going to major in. If you watch that game, Bama wasn't lined up. Bama was tired as hell. Bama's cleats weren't in the ground. So when you're trying to play catch up the entire time, it's tough. They're going to be able to get lined up. They're going to be able to play a much more traditional offense that suits their eye. And as I mentioned, this week of practice is going to be a living hell. They are going to get after it. Dylan Moses ain't going out like that. I like the Bama defense much more than I like the Georgia offense. I'll call the other side a wash. I think that the Alabama defense, who was embarrassed last week, they'll be the reason Alabama wins this game by at least a touchdown on Saturday.
Yeah. I can't wait for that game. It's going to be – I really hope that –
I hope it doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't get canceled. Hope none of the, big contributors for either team miss that game. That would suck if that – if there was a coronavirus effect. I mean, there's already Saban, so don't do it, Rona. Come on, man.
Don't do it.
We got a couple of good Group of 5 games, and we got a Friday nighter between number 14 BYU and Houston. Now, Dana and his boys, they've only played one game, and they're pretty sloppy early in it. But, hey, the Clayton Tune kid is back at QB. Marquez Stevenson, last time I checked, still very fast out there at wide receiver for him. But they got a problem because I think BYU just might be pretty darn good. I know they didn't look great in their last outing, but I love watching the Zach Wilson kid play quarterback and their run game, all the zone concepts, those big Mormons they got up front, like
grown men
to watch.
literally
the Algier kid run it, like they get downhill. I got no idea what's going to happen in this football game, but Friday night, prime time, I'm going to be so drunk watching this game. I can't wait, baby. Let's go.
What's the number? What's the number on this game? You got a number for me?
I can find it for you real quick.
5.5.
Yep.
That seems low to me. I think BYU is just going to be too physical at the line of scrimmage. I mean,
I think the game last week scared some people with BYU, but I totally agree. Houston, I mean, they've just been in La La Land spinning their wheels for however many weeks. I think Wilson's going to have a huge game. He's completing like 80-some% of his passes. He's been clean with the football. But I think what BYU doesn't get enough credit for is their running game. Man, their running game is.
I love watching. I mean, hey, you talk about traditional zone stuff. That's my shit.
Oh,
boys.
that gets Gabe going.
That gets
right
me
there.
going. And
little cut on the backside.
Oh,
stretch it on the front.
Let's stretch it. Let's cut it off. Let's run somewhere in between. Let's stick our toe in the ground. Let's get downhill. They're a good team. And we don't know much about Houston, right? They've played one damn game. They've had the hardest time out of anyone in the country just playing them football games. So I really have no idea what's going to happen in this game. I could see BYU winning by 3 touchdowns, but I could also see Houston winning by like 2 touchdowns. I got no clue what's going to happen.
How miserable it'd be to practice football for 10 weeks and play one game. Just nonstop.
Sounds like hell
practice.
on earth.
Awful. That's just a terrible scenario. I don't. You're right. It could go either way. I like BYU in this game. I just think it's a line of scrimmage. You're not giving their defense enough credit either. Their defensive line. So I did Navy Tulane several weeks back. It was like it was maybe my first game of the year, and it was after they played this BYU team. Watching that tape, it's not a very good Navy team this year anyway, and they had made no contact prior to that game. What those BYU players did to those midshipmen, it was criminal. I mean, it was an absolute.
It's literally, it's a
I
war
think the
crime.
criminal part is what the Navy coaching staff did to their players, setting them up for failure. I don't know if that came from above or what was going on there, but that was a disaster.
It was sending soldiers into a fight with a knife. It was a gunfight, and they sent them with a knife. So anyway, I just
fight with some 30-year-old Mormons.
I watched that, and I've continued to watch this BYU team. I think they're for real. No one, they're going to probably win every game on their schedule this year too. By the way,
I'll say this: that offense, what they're doing scheme-wise, they are, for me, one of the most aesthetically pleasing offenses to watch in all of college football. I really enjoy watching them play. So I'm pumped up to have that on a Friday night, kind of a showcase game.
Yeah.
There's not going to be anything else. Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I'm with you.
Okay. What I did want to talk about, because it just seems like an interesting scenario for both teams. You've got number 11, Texas A&M, coming off the big win against Florida, right? But they're going to Starkville to play Leach and Mississippi State this weekend. Now, seems like a big letdown game for A&M, right? But Leach and Mississippi State coming off the absolute embarrassing performance against Kentucky. I still can't believe 24-2 was the final score. For some reason, I find that so hilarious. But doesn't this feel like a classic Leach game? And I feel for the Mississippi State fans, they're getting the full Mike Leach experience just in a couple of weeks. But they've looked inept on offense, but this seems like a perfect scenario where Mike Leach wins this game, and you're just like, oh yeah, that seems about right for Leach.
I would love to see Mike Leach win this game. I just don't know. Does his quarterback know which team he plays for? Because it's looked like the last 2 weeks he's playing for the other team, like he thinks he's throwing to the defense. KJ Costello, boys, has 8 interceptions in the last 2 football.
In the last 2 games, you're right.
The last 2. I'm not going to count the SEC record-setting day he got against LSU when my man Coach Leach was literally on the bandwagon saying, come on, like they're posting videos after they won. And I'm worried about KJ Costello, to be completely honest. So
you could tell watching that. I watched a decent chunk of that LSU game, and I was like, I mean, if he's going to be able to throw it up to these guys in man-to-man, then he's going to be fine. But this dude has some issues, man. He is not the quarterback Leach is used to.
And this game, I may be thinking too much into it, but these teams have the exact same color scheme, and they're both Adidas. They're going to be wearing the same jerseys. Costello's going to have 17 interceptions. What?
Did any of you guys happen to look at the stat sheet on that Kentucky-Mississippi State game?
Did you see the rushing?
Kentucky won the game 24-2 with 100, I believe, 72 total yards. They didn't do anything.
Hilarious.
Mississippi State's defense has played well, even against Arkansas. Arkansas didn't do a whole lot offensively, but they turned the damn ball over 4 times, and they took a pick six the other way. So it's like, I mean, Mississippi State's actually got a really good defense this year.
Yeah, the quarterback for Kentucky was 8 of 20.
Terry Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, and then they 32 rushes for only 84 yards.
So
Yeah,
what was the total
good.
yardage?
Total yardage was
I think it was 178, if I remember correctly.
78.
57.
Okay. We gave them way too much credit.
73 passing yards, 84 rushing yards.
There you go. Sorry. It wasn't even 173. 157.
Not only that,
And they got their ass kicked.
Mississippi State turned it over 6 times.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's how they lost 24-2. So, Gabe, I don't know. Like, Texas A&M, I've been pointing to this year forever. Not forever, but since Jimbo Fisher got the job, I thought year 3, that's the year, especially when you looked at the schedule for the Aggies. It was
and then it changed on them.
Yeah, so I thought this was the year. Then I watched them against Vanderbilt slop it around, barely beat them. Then I watched them get destroyed in Tuscaloosa, and I thought, guess I was wrong. Another Aggie letdown, which they're used to it. But then you watch last week. That's the best game I've seen Kellen Mond play.
Agreed.
Is that the Kellen Mond we're going to get consistently in this game or through the rest of the SEC play? Because here's what's crazy. And Isaiah Spiller's a beast now. They lost their receiver, Chapman, who's a really good player. That's going to hurt. But I love the Wiedemeyer, the tight end's really good. And their offensive line's got some physicality. My question about A&M, or if you look at A&M, the schedule sets up really well. The tough part of their schedule, they just passed it. They split 1-1 against Bama and Florida. So if that quarterback in particular, Kellen Mond, is the guy that this offense gets the rest of the year, they're going to be dangerous to make a little run. And I do think they'll win in Starkville. But if the guy that we've seen throughout the course of his career who's been inconsistent, if he shows up, I would say that Texas A&M is capable of losing several games on their schedule. So it's interesting. It typically does, but it comes back to quarterback play. This is the year that everybody's been waiting for Kellen Mond. If he can deliver the way he did on Saturday, Texas A&M's an intriguing team the rest of the way.
One more game, boys, I wanted to talk about, and it's because it's got a little local flavor, and that is Cincinnati going to Tulsa to take on the Golden Hurricane. Something interesting about it. It's Cincinnati's first road game. So it's their first road trip going through all the bullshit, coronavirus protocols, doing the weird thing when it comes to traveling. So I think that is an interesting part of this game. Also, we'll see what Zach Smith can get done against the Cincinnati team that has some really good players on the defense. You talk about a physical football team. I mean, this team will absolutely hit you. And Cincinnati is playing the run really, really well when you look at them defensively. So I just wonder, can Tulsa do it? Because they played Oklahoma State close, and we all made fun of Oklahoma State. Like, hey, why are you guys playing like this? You're not nearly as good as we thought you were going to be. And then Tulsa goes to the bounce house and beats the hell out of UCF in a game that UCF probably should have won. But still, Tulsa got it done. So you got Desmond Ridder at quarterback for Cincinnati, experienced guy coming in. But if you remember this matchup last year, like if Tulsa just would have taken care of the ball, they probably win that game. So I am intrigued by this game. I don't know if I believe in Tulsa that much, but I'm expecting this to be a close football game because Tulsa's shown us some stuff these last couple, boys. I mean, you got to give them some credit.
I like Tulsa.
Go ahead, Ted.
No, I like Tulsa. I think Zach Smith's been okay. He's not gonna blow you away or anything.
Game manager, but their defense has been pretty solid, man. They've done some pretty good things. So I don't love it, but the way they're playing right now, I think you got to give them credit. Cincinnati, I think, is probably the better football team, but Tulsa, I feel like
got some confidence right now from the way that they've been playing. And I know Cincinnati's the favorite on the road, but I think Tulsa pulls it off. And you're right, Gabe. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close football game, field goal game. But I think Tulsa's going to edge them out.
There's a reason the number is 3, okay? And the number 8 team in the country is playing it unranked. It's because I think Tulsa might win this football game. I agree with Teddy. I had Cincinnati against Army in their second game. And there's a lot to like with Cincinnati. They got dudes on defense, all 3 levels. They got playmakers on the defensive line. They got a quality backer. That's probably the weak link. They got a couple of really nice safeties, and they get after it. Luke Fickell is good. Their O-line is experienced. I don't want to say they're great, but they're solid. Running back by committee. But I'm going to tell you, man, Desmond Ridder, I don't know. If I'm Tulsa, I'm making him beat me. Like I am, because he scatter shoots the football at times, man. The ball don't always come out of his hand and goes where he intends it to. That's problematic. I am forcing that guy to beat me. And here's the thing. The best defensive player in the state of Oklahoma to this point ain't at Oklahoma. It ain't Oklahoma State. His name, say his name, it's Zaven Collins, man. The guy is a flipping stud. I remember going back to his freshman year at a Hominy, Ted. 8-man football this kid played. Oklahoma State didn't offer him. Dad played at Oklahoma State. Actually, from what I've been told, wasn't very happy about that. Oklahoma didn't offer him. No one knew about him. He was a player as a freshman. Just okay last year. He's got 7.5 TFLs in 2 games. He had 3 sacks, 4 TFLs against Oklahoma State. He followed that up with a 3.5 TFL and a pick in game number 2 against UCF. No one's been able to block him. He's been incredible. So he's the heartbeat of that defense. They played really well to this point. They held UCF at times in check, which is tough to do. That's a legit offense. And then even for them to overcome, remember Shamari Brooks, their best running back. They kind of had 2-headed monster, Taylor and him at running back, but he gets hurt the week of Oklahoma State, tears his ACL, and they've been able to fill in and find guys to step in and get it done. So I think it's a low-scoring game, a lot of defense, but if that thing's over a field goal, I would not be afraid to put my money on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And I think that there's a chance that there's an upset brewing at Skelly Stadium on Saturday. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
I hope it's a good one. I really do. Come on, Tulsa. Represent. Let's go, boys. All right.
Let's face it. That's good for the Big 12. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Right. True.
Style points, they are what they are.
Yeah, I'm over here cheering my ass off for Louisiana.
I know. It's like Coastal Carolina keeps scoring points on Louisiana, and all Louisiana did was go in and put them things on Iowa State, who we all agree has got a chance to win the Big 12. So it's been a wild start to the college football season, to say the least.
Well, Dusty, it is always a pleasure. Good sir. Before you get out of here, you got anything to plug? Anything coming up? Anything exciting?
Where are you this week?
Oh, Ted, you know I'm not anywhere this week, I would think. So I'm in quarantine. The Disney HR fine folks have taken me off the road. I've had 14 days of contact tracing. I found out a week ago tomorrow that a guy, both your faces are priceless. I hope I need to take a picture. Your mouth is agape, Gabe. Close it.
No, I refuse. It will remain agape.
Okay, so I worked a game. I don't want to say who tested positive, but I worked a game in Gainesville when I was Sweaty Dusty. Sweaty Dusty worked a game with a guy who tested positive that next week on Wednesday. And I guess everyone has their protocols. They go to him, talk to him. We sat next to each other on an airplane with masks on, and we were at a table together with masks on, but for more than the time. So that was told to HR, and myself and 2 other people were put in contact tracing, and they take it just like in college football teams. We have essentially a very similar protocol to all the teams at Disney. and they take it very seriously. And so even though I've tested negative, I've had multiple tests done since.
Do you
I've
have
had
to
no
test
symptoms.
every day?
I don't, because they don't care. Regardless if I test, they're going to make me wait 14
the
days.
policy's the policy. I got you.
Correct. So
Well, that sucks.
There was a chance that I was supposed to. We were going to do this week Memphis UCF on ABC at 2:30, and there was a chance I was going to get to do it because that Saturday would have been 14 days, travel day of the game. But then I can't test before because they only want me to test after the 14th. So I had to miss my game last week. They brought somebody in last minute. Same guy's going to fill in for me this week, and then I'm back on the 24th, and I just got my game today. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell. I can break it on you guys. I'll just say this. I will be back on the road in Big 12 country on the 24th of October in a highly anticipated game somewhere right around the capital of Texas. So
I was about to pull up the Big 12 schedule to try to figure it out, and I was like, okay, he made it easy.
But then I guess the question is that game going to happen? Because is Baylor going to be back and
that's true,
fully ready to go? So, but so it's been a wild couple of weeks. That's why I'm kind of to the point where, like, I mean, it's just people want to get frustrated or get mad or get upset, and this thing is, and I'm fortunate, right? This doesn't affect my job. Fortunately, I don't get to go do what I love and be out there and continue to work and get better with my crew. But all things considered, I'm healthy. I'm good. It's not going to affect anything in that regard. Whereas
you're not a homebody, though, man. I know you're probably going crazy.
I'm a little bit stir crazy, Tad. It's crazy. You go on a 17-game season and you're gone 3-4 days a week, and you're like, man, it's been a grind. I'm ready for it to be over. And then it gets, once you missed it, you jonesing for it, and then you have it back and have it taken away. I'm a fish out of water, to say the least, right now in college football, not being able to be in a college football stadium on Saturday. But I will sit back, relax, and enjoy some good football all weekend long for sure.
Well, that sucks, man. I'm sorry, but hey, as always, buddy, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Good stuff, man.
All right, boys. Talk to you soon.
Always good catching up with our man, Dvoracek. Ted, let's get right to it. We tweeted out, give us your boldest prediction for this weekend in college football. And we've got Boomer Holic calling his shot. So, and call your shot. 1 second.
Moby_Dick_.
Moby, he's still around, but just a reminder, Call Your Shot is brought to you by Rock and Roll Tequila. Rock and Roll Tequila is the ultra premium tequila that hits all the right notes. It's won all kinds of awards for superior taste and smooth finish. To find a store that has it, visit rockandrolltequila.com or check out their Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. This stuff is good. If you don't want to take my word for it, maybe you'll listen to this guy.
This is Coach Bob Stoops. When you're a college football coach, it's important to have an eye for talent. The same holds true when choosing your tequila. When I tried Rock and Roll, I liked it so much, I decided to become a partner in this Oklahoma-owned company. Crafted in the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico, the smooth taste of Rock and Roll's triple distilled platinum, our añejo called Cristalino, and the incredible premium quality mango tequila are awesome. Our defiantly unique guitar-shaped bottles make it easy to find, and you'll love the ultra-premium quality and taste. No excuses. Make Rock and Roll your game day tequila. Tastefully rebellious, start the party with Rock and Roll.
All right, Ted. I almost forgot the ad read. That would have been bad. So don't worry, caught myself. But Boomerholic, at Boomerholic on Twitter. Okay, he's got two predictions, and I want you to pick the one that is in your mind more likely. Boomerholic says, A&M has huge letdown and struggles with air raid hell and fall back to mediocrity after their first significant win since Manziel beat Bama. Speaking of Bama, Saban takes his first L to an assistant while not even being at stadium. Smart don't get the satisfaction of post-game shit talk. First of all, I love you, Boomerholic. That is
Those
tremendous. So what do you think's more likely? A&M losing to Mississippi State or Bama losing to Georgia without Saban?
Bama losing to Georgia is more likely, but I'm going to roll with the best call your shot with Texas A&M failing miserably after their first nice victory. KJ Costello is not a good quarterback at Mississippi State, and he's got some serious problems. But, this is like the most Mike Leach thing ever. Win a big game, lose 2 in a row, because he needs like a moment with his team to where they see the teeth come out from Mike Leach. Because as crazy as he is, as quirky as he is, as fun as he is to follow, he is absolutely brutal on his players and on his teams. And I know they've been getting the business for the last couple of weeks. So this is one of those games where whenever you least expect it, they show up. So I'm hoping that Mississippi State goes in there and reminds all those A&M fans who love to, poke that chest out there and talk about what a great program they are. Just quick little reminder.
I'll say this. If KJ Costello throws another 5 interceptions, he may end up in a shed. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm shocked that he's still playing him. I mean,
oh man, he went to Stanford. He's supposed to be a smart guy. Smart guys know that you don't throw it to the other team, right?
I'm telling you, when I watched that LSU game, I was thinking, oh boy, they got some problems with this guy.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm very intrigued by that football game. All right, Ted, let's move on to our segments. Let's start with our winners and losers of the week. And Teddy's winners and losers are brought to you by Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs. They'll help you execute a realistic and achievable weight loss plan designed for you and only you. They've got all kinds of treatments for men and women. Their licensed and trained experts combine diet and exercise with hormone therapies to maximize your results. If you're struggling with low libido or low energy, Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs can help with that too. They also offer Botox and fillers. To get on the path to losing weight, call 918-241-LOSE or visit their Facebook page. If you mention the podcast, you will get a free fat burner injection. Teddy, who's your winner of the week?
Easy, short and sweet. It's Nick Saban. It's Nick Saban.
What?
And here's the thing.
Explain.
Obviously, he's got the COVID, right? He's got the coronavirus.
He's got the Rona.
He's got
the Rona's
Rona.
got him.
So here's how this breaks down. If they win, the thought coming out of the game is, oh my God, Nick Saban has such a tight program that he can have the virus, miss, be wired into his coach's headsets or call him at halftime, whatever it is that he's going to do, and they can still go out and beat number 3 Georgia. God, that Nick Saban is good.
Best
If they
ever.
lose, God, think of how important Nick said. All those players, all those coaches there, and they still can't win a big game without him. God, he's the highest paid coach in college football, and he deserves every single penny. Win or lose, Nick Saban's going to be a winner coming out of this thing.
That's a good point. You're right.
Personally, now, if they lose, he's going to be pissed, and, who knows what happens the rest of the season. Actually, I think everyone needs to be pulling, in my opinion, for Alabama here, because if Georgia beats Alabama, I got news for you. They're going to play again in the SEC championship, and Alabama's going to win. You're going to have 2 teams in the college football playoff from the SEC.
Correct. I've been thinking about that for a while, and because Florida got the loss, right? So that makes the East a little interesting. Yeah. I want Bama to win that game. I'm with you. All right, who do you have as your loser of the week?
I know I just said that I'm pulling for him to win the game against Texas A&M there at home in Starkville, but Mike Leach is the loser right now. Whenever he was at Washington State and even Texas Tech to a lesser degree, he could beat a big team and it would make the entire season. You could lose to Eastern Washington out there at Washington State. No one really cared. But now in SEC country, whenever you lose some games that you're not supposed to, you lose to an Arkansas, you look terrible against a Kentucky, people start calling for your head really quickly. And Feinbaum was already all over the guy. So, he's always been at these outposts. He's out in Lubbock, out in the middle of nowhere. He's out in Pullman, Washington, middle of nowhere. You win a couple big games a year. Everyone's happy as long as you have a couple of big moments. But in the SEC, it just means more, Gabe, apparently. So I've been told. And you lose a couple of stinkers, people are going to let you know about it and start telling everyone you're a terrible coach. So that's why I think right now Leach is a loser. But you could fix that. The win over Texas A&M.
We'll see. I wonder. It'd be interesting to hear Leach talk about that. Like if he feels more criticism, if he feels more pressure. Now he may not. I don't know if that guy actually has feelings. Guy's an absolute weirdo. He just is.
Total weirdo.
That feels like a big game for him. They at least have to put up some points. Like you're supposed to be the air raid wizard. You got to score. Like if you're entertaining, like you said it, right? If you're not going to be good, be entertaining. So if they're going to lose games, they better lose them in entertaining fashion.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you go lose a bad game at Washington State, all you got to do is go make like a post-game speech about your fat little girlfriends and all this stuff. And everyone's just like, oh, God, man, don't you love that Leach? And I know they lost the game, but, man, he's so funny. It's different down there in the SEC, man. People are not going to – they're not going to just, let it pass because there was a funny post-game moment whenever he's calling his players out.
Yeah. All right, my winners and losers are brought to you by Sound Advice. A lot of us are watching our favorite football teams from home this year, which is why you need to get ready for game day with a home theater system from our friends at Sound Advice. Sound Advice can customize your home entertainment system indoors or outdoors. Sound Advice did the Wi-Fi network and all the audio visual at my new house, and it is awesome. They hide all the wires and the cable boxes, so it looks great, and I can control every TV in my house from my phone. My internet has been flawless. For the best home theater systems in the Oklahoma City area, call Sound Advice at 405-549-3880 or visit soundadviceokc.com. Teddy, my winner of the week, college football players. And it's not because they're getting to play games, and now some have been postponed. It's not that. But so much is going on with Corona and all this stuff that quietly the NCAA has made some massive decisions when it comes to college football players. So the NCAA approved a proposal for a one-time transfer rule that should go into effect August 1st, 2021. So you can transfer without penalty. Players will have to let their teams know they're transferring by May 1st to be immediately eligible. That gets extended to July 1st if their head coach leaves. They can't compete at two different schools in the same season. I know some people thought that maybe that would happen. That is not allowed. And an interesting part, they are keeping the initial counter rule limit for a season at 25 players. So we thought that may get adjusted. It's not at this point. But also, the NCAA has, started coming out with what the name, image, and likeness plan is. And they've got it in place. And players are going to be able to make money as long as it doesn't conflict with the NCAA. So no sports gambling, illegal substances, stuff like that. And it also can't conflict with the university's official sponsors is kind of the way that I understood that. Now, I'm not sure if that means like if the school's a Coke school, like can you not endorse Pepsi? I'm not sure. We'll see how that plays out when this stuff gets passed. But these were two things that would be like the biggest story in college sports. And they just quietly kind of rolled out. And no one's really talking about it.
Huh. I think it's fascinating. My question to you is, what player are we going to pay to promote our podcast?
So I not only thought about that already, I thought about, what about a partnership, right?
Yeah.
A player comes on for 10 minutes or something, talks about the game, someone sponsors it, maybe we do it with like the Touchdown Club or something. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
It's just an idea. They scratch our back. We're scratching theirs. It's a symbiotic relationship.
That's right. Look
Just
at you,
saying.
already light years ahead. I love it.
Yeah.
That is cool, though.
And those kids, they can't hire agents to help them with the name, image, and likeness stuff, the negotiations, contracts, all that stuff. So that's big time news for college football players. And it was only a matter of time, and the time is here. That it is here. All right, my loser of the week. I thought about going with Josh Norman because my God, Derrick Henry stiff-armed him into oblivion. And Tuesday night NFL football, that was awesome. I was all about it. That was great. But that happens sometimes. So I'm gonna give Josh Norman a break. So my loser of the week, degenerate gamblers. Let me explain.
Okay.
Teddy, who watches, in your opinion, who watches the Pro Bowl, like the actual game? I think there's two categories of people that watch the Pro Bowl.
Massive dorks and degenerate gamblers.
I was going with friends and family of the players and degenerate gamblers. I guess massive dorks is a third category.
I didn't factor in friends and family. Dang it.
So
My fault.
Friends and family, massive dorks, degenerate gamblers, only people that watch the Pro Bowl. There's no doubt. So the Pro Bowl has been canceled. First time that the Pro Bowl or something like it won't be played since 1949. Now there's still going to be Pro Bowl voting and the teams will be named, but it's going to be, quote, a variety of engaging activities to replace the Pro Bowl game this season. Those activities, I guess, are going to be virtual, which I don't know what kind of virtual activity. Like, are these guys going to play Family Feud against each other? Like, I don't understand like how that's going to work, but this has to break the hearts of degenerate gamblers because there are people that actually vote. Like they vote the Pro Bowl, trying to influence eventually the game so that they can bet on it. I know guys that do this. And
Wow.
those guys, and I know a couple guys that do it that way, and those guys have a problem. So I feel bad for the degenerates that can't gamble on whether the AFC is going to cover the spread or not in the Pro Bowl. But I think it's best for everyone that this game is not happening. But that being said, the degenerates are probably going to bet on the virtual activities that these guys are going to compete in.
I'll take the NFC and Family Feud. That's hilarious. Now, not all degenerate gamblers are upset because I'm sure some of them probably had, 10-1 on the game being canceled or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point.
There was probably some action on whether or not it would be played.
Cash it. Yeah. That's a really good dang. I didn't even
I
think
want to know
of that.
what happened in 1949 that made them cancel the Pro Bowl.
World War?
In 49?
I don't know. That's just what my initial response.
Well, I guess maybe the Korean War started in 1950, right? So the Pro Bowl was from the 49 season was played in 50. I guess that could possibly be
World War II ended in like 45?
Right.
Is that right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
It was a smart decision. People have been clamoring for them to cancel it for every year since, pretty much.
Ever since Sean Taylor destroyed that guy, it's been downhill.
The punter? Wasn't it a punter?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. One of the best. I love when they run that clip.
And the punter was mad about it. It's like, hey, dude, you're playing in a football game, buddy. I don't know what to tell you.
What the hell, bro? All right, Teddy, let's wet the beak. And Wet the Beak is brought to you by Tim Hughes Custom Homes. Are you looking to build your dream home? If so, Tim Hughes is the man you're looking for. Tim Hughes Custom Homes is a one-stop shop for all your home building needs. He can find you a lot. He can find you an architect. He'll find you financing. And, of course, he can build your dream home exactly the way you want it. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, Tim found my wife and me a lot. He found us an architect and built our new house. Tim and his team were so easy to work with. He's still helping us with when we have questions with things around the house. He's also built several office buildings. So if your business is looking to build a custom office, Tim Hughes is your man. You can see Tim's custom builds throughout Gaillardia, Nichols Hills, Oak Tree, Stone Mill, and Rose Creek. It is a great time to build the house of your dreams. For more information and to see Tim's spectacular work, visit his Instagram page at Tim Hughes Custom Homes or visit timhughescustomhomes.com. Okay, so there's no Thursday night football this week. So I was looking at the NFL slate for a game to wet the beak with, and I thought the Browns going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers was the most intriguing game. You got a 4-1 Browns team playing really good football. You got a 4-0 Steelers team playing really good football. Clearly a big divisional game there in the AFC North. Now, Baker a little banged up. He's missed some practice this week, but no doubt in my mind, he'll be ready to go on Sunday with the ribs. And we're starting to see Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., they're looking like those dynamic playmakers that they are. The running game still looks good even without Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt, I'm not sure if he's 100%, but he looks good. Mm-hmm. Also, now Pittsburgh is a really good football team. You start with that defense, that pass rush with TJ Watt, and maybe Le'Veon Bell will be a Steeler by the time this thing kicks off. Who knows? But the running game,
we offered you a long-term deal with big money. You turned it down, went somewhere else, got cut, end up not making any money, and you come crawling back and we'll hire you for the league minimum. Congratulations. And that's how the NFL works.
He's still going to get like $6 million from the Jets this year. So yeah, sign with the Steelers for whatever. So, but the running game for the Steelers, I mean, James Conner, that running game, it's been good. It's been efficient. Big Ben looking good. So the Claypool kid, incredible performance.
Wow.
Last week, playing himself into the Rookie of the Year talks. I saw his odds on Rookie of the Year. He's like got the third best odds now on the board. So, but the best part about this entire game, first time the Browns and Steelers will be playing with Myles Garrett on the field again since the Mason Rudolph attempted murder. And this is good. The Steelers are a 3.5-point favorite. This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for this football game. That all being said, give me the Steelers. I just think they're a really good football team right now. It's hard to go on the road if you're the Browns and go win that football game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll take the Steelers
quarterback.
Here. Yeah. I'll take the Steelers here, and I'm with you on the Myles Garrett deal. I always feel like the Happy Gilmore quote always comes to mind. I'm the only guy to take my skate off and try and stab somebody. It's like Myles Garrett. I'm the only guy in NFL history to take a guy's helmet off and try and kill him with it. I think it's going to be a great game, but let's be honest about this. Last year, the Browns had a hard time beating Rudolph. They didn't beat a guy, Hodges, who at the time that game was played, I had never even heard of the kid. No idea who he was, no idea where he came from, and he beat the Browns last year. So the Steelers are 4-0 for the first time since 1979. They won a Super Bowl that year, and the other time they did it was 1975, I believe, and they won a Super Bowl that year. So I think the Steelers are really good total football team. Roethlisberger's playing better. The defense is good on all three levels. Give me the Steelers.
One question about that game. You think that's going to be a high-scoring affair or a low-scoring one? Because I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, okay, well, if both teams want to run the football, maybe it turns into kind of a low-scoring thing. And then I have no idea, because I could see it being like a 14-10 game, but I could also see it being like a 31-30 game or so. Yeah. I just don't know. I think a shootout favors the Steelers a little bit, because we know the Browns, they want to build that run game, play action off of it. Now, of course, they want to get big explosives. That's what Stefanski wants. That's how that offense is built. But I just don't know what kind of game we're going to get. I know it's going to be physical as hell, because that's how these two teams are when they play each other. But I don't really have a read on how it's going to go from a scoring standpoint.
It's going to be 27-14. the Browns are going to get a late touchdown on a big play to Landry, try and go for 2 to make it 27-21, and try and not go for 2, try and get the onside kick, and to have a couple shots at the end zone and don't get it.
Ted Stradamus. You heard it here
6-point
first.
Win. 6-point win for the Steelers.
You heard it here first. All right, Ted, let's finish up with everyone's favorite segment. That is Keeping It Local, where we highlight what's going on in the great state of Oklahoma. And it's brought to you by Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. As schools have reopened in the fall, parents want to provide the best possible educational experience and spiritual development for their children. There's no better place for that than Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. A one-to-one iPad setting makes McGuinness students fully prepared to continue high-level learning from home if necessary. A 12-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio guarantees no student is overlooked. In addition to athletic programs and clubs, Bishop McGuinness's college prep curriculum offers 22 AP courses. Financial aid is available. For more information, visit bmchs.org. Okay. Some news. Now, it's in the distant future, but it is still exciting for college basketball fans here in the state of Oklahoma. And I thought it was interesting because college basketball practice got started today.
Yeah.
Excited to see what happens.
T-Rowe told me they're going to be good. I said they're going to be real good.
I think the Big 12 is going to be legit. I think Kansas is going to be good. We'll see what happens if sanctions. Remember that whole Kansas thing, the whole investigation?
Amazing. That's you want to go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. I think Bill Self created this whole thing to dodge the NCAA violations that were coming down on his head.
I will say this. The Spanish flu, 1918, started in Kansas.
There you go.
Just saying.
Hey.
Just saying. Look it up, people. It's true. Look it up.
That cannot be a coincidence. Yeah, just can't be.
It just can't. I think Kansas is going to be good. I think Tech, they've got all these transfers. They're going to be good. A lot of people think Baylor may be the best team in the country, Scott Drew's group. So I think the Big 12 is going to be fun to watch. You got Cade Cunningham there at Oklahoma State. You could watch him on a live stream today. I mean, Oklahoma State live streamed their first practice, which
nice.
Mike Boynton continues to do awesome things. So that's exciting. But we also got some exciting news for college basketball fans here in the state because the NCAA announced the Chesapeake Energy Arena will host first and second round NCAA tournament games in 2026, which I understand. It feels like we're doing some college football scheduling right now. That's still exciting. That's still something to look forward to here in the state and in the city. And it's just fun because I read in the Oklahoman that it said it'll have I always look at the economic impact of having events like this. And they said like $8.2 million. I was like, that's a lot of money. That's good for the state. All right, let's roll. That's awesome news.
No, I think it's fantastic. And I think it's 2026 is perfect because according to an article I read by Dennis Dodd today in CBS Sports, that's about the time that we're going to be able to start allowing people back into basketball games and football games because of the coronavirus. That's been Dennis Dodd's point. Now, I've got a prediction for you, Gabe. Would you like to hear it?
Of course I would like to hear it. But before I hear it, just want to let you know that Coastal Carolina just kicked a game-winning field goal against Louisiana. Wow. Not great for the Big 12. Well, there's 4 seconds left, so I guess. But the Raging Cajuns fall to the Chanticleers.
Here's my prediction. That $8.2 million number is low, and here's why. By 2026 in Oklahoma City, you will have a sports book.
Ooh.
How about that? I've always been told the best time to go to Vegas is during March Madness and watch everything in a sports book, and they have all these crazy parties going on. That's going to be happening in OKC. What do you think about that prediction, Gabe?
First of all, love it. Second of all, we got to figure out a way to get in on that action. Let's go.
No doubt. No doubt.
I love where your head's at. But, yeah, exciting news.
That'll be awesome.
And there will be a sports book. Maybe we'll build one. I don't know.
We'll own it.
We got time. All right, Ted, episode 51 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop Monday morning. Just a reminder, you can hear Teddy from 2 to 6 on Sports Talk 1400. And you can hear me from 3 to 5 on SiriusXM Big 12 Radio, channel 375. Hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. And do what you always do, Oklahoma.